All right, let's talk about that dreaded check engine light. If you scanned your car and it's throwing the code P0103, stick around. We're about to take all that confusion and turn it into a solid game plan.
You know that feeling? That little amber light pops up, your heart sinks a bit, and you see this code, P0103. What does it even mean? Well, don't sweat it. We're going to break down exactly what your car is trying to tell you, what's likely causing it, and most importantly, how you can actually fix it. Let's dive in.
So first things first, what is this message your car is sending? What in the world is P0103? Let's get right into it.
Okay, so the official textbook definition is mass airflow A circuit high. But what does that mean for you and me? Basically, your car's brain, the computer, is getting some really weird information from the mass airflow sensor. It's being told that a massive, impossible amount of air is rushing into the engine, even when you're just sitting at a stoplight. The computer knows that's not right, so it throws up a red flag, and that's our code P0103.
Here's the best way to think about it. The mass airflow sensor, or MAF sensor, is like your engine's lungs, and the computer, the ECM, is the brain. For a P0103 code, the lungs are basically screaming at the brain, "Hey, I'm taking in a gigantic breath of air," when in reality, the engine is barely breathing. The brain gets confused by the signal and starts making bad decisions, like dumping way too much fuel into the mix to compensate.
So this little mix-up between the engine's brain and lungs, how does that actually affect how your car drives? Let's talk about the real-world symptoms you're probably noticing.
Obviously, you've got the check engine light, but you might also feel the engine kind of sputtering or even stalling out when you're stopped. When you step on the gas, does it feel sluggish, like it's just not got the power it should? That's a big one. You might even see some black smoke coming out of the tailpipe. That's a dead giveaway of that extra fuel getting burned up. And yeah, you are definitely going to be feeling the pain at the gas pump.
Okay, so we know what's happening and how it feels. Now, the big question is why? Time to put on our detective hats, because we've got a list of usual suspects to investigate for this P0103 code.
All right, suspect number one, our prime suspect, is usually the MAF sensor itself. It could just be dirty and need a good cleaning, or maybe it's actually failed. But hold on, don't just go buy a new part yet. We also have to look at the wiring. A short circuit, a bad ground wire, or some corrosion on a connector can cause the exact same problem. And we can't forget the simpler stuff, like a really dirty air filter, a vacuum leak somewhere after the sensor, or even a simple blown fuse.
Now, this is really important. Take a look at this. About half the time, it's the sensor. But look at that other big slice of the pie. 30% of the time, it's a wiring or fuse issue. You combine those two, and that's a whopping 80% of all P0103 faults. This tells us exactly where we need to focus our attention first. Before we go chasing down vacuum leaks, we need to be absolutely sure about that sensor and its connections.
All right, you ready to get your hands dirty and solve this thing? Let's go through a simple, step-by-step diagnostic checklist that's going to help you pinpoint the exact cause.
We're going to follow a logical path here, starting with the easiest and cheapest things first. So, step one, just pop the hood and check your engine air filter. Is it filthy? That's an easy fix. Step two, we'll do a really close visual check on the MAF sensor and all of its wiring. Look for anything loose, cracked, or corroded. If that all looks good, then we can move on to testing the circuit with a multimeter, hunting for vacuum leaks, and as a last resort, checking the exhaust. I really want to hammer this point home. You have to remember this. Anything wrong with the wiring is going to look and feel exactly like a bad sensor. So before you spend money on a new part, you have to rule out a simple wiring problem. It could save you a lot of time and money. And for those of you who have a multimeter and are comfortable using it, here's a great pro tip. Unplug the MAF sensor connector. Then, turn your car's key to the on position, but don't start the engine. Now, test the signal wire in the harness connector. If you see a steady 5 volts or even 12 volts, bingo, you've found your problem. That wire is shorted to a power source somewhere, and that's your culprit, not the sensor.
Okay, so once you've done your detective work and found the culprit, it's time to actually fix it. Let's look at the game plan for getting your car back on the road.
So this is the big question. Do you clean the sensor or just replace it? Well, here's how you decide. If you pull it out and it just looks dirty or oily, your first move should always be to try cleaning it. Get a can of dedicated MAF sensor cleaner, give it a good spray, and let it dry. It's cheap, and it works a surprising amount of the time. But if cleaning it doesn't solve the problem, or if your multimeter tests prove the sensor itself is bad, then it's time to get a new one. And please don't forget the really simple stuff. Always,
Always check the fuse for the MAF sensor circuit before you do anything else. You could be looking at a 50-cent fix that solves the whole problem. Same goes for that electrical connector. If it looks green and crusty, clean it out. A bad connection can cause all kinds of headaches.
So, here's the bottom line. A P0103 code isn't a catastrophe. Think of it as a clue. It's the start of a mystery, and if you follow the trail and check the suspects one by one, you absolutely can solve it. You can figure out what's really going on and get your car running the way it should. So, what's your first step going to be?